Leetcode question 2402, meeting rooms. You are given an integer n. There are n rooms numbered from 0 to n minus 1. You are given 2D integer array meetings, where meetings I equals start I and I means that a meeting will be held during the half-closed time interval, start and. All values of starts are unique. Meetings are allocated to rooms in the following manner. Each meeting will take place in the unused room with the lowest number. If there are no available rooms, the meeting will be delayed until a room becomes free. The delayed meeting should have the same duration as the original meeting. When a room becomes unused, meetings that have earlier original start time should be given the room. Return the number of rooms that hold the most meetings. If there are multiple rooms, return the rooms with the lowest number. A half-closed interval AB is the interval between A and B, including A and not including B. Example 1, n equals to 2. There are 2 meeting rooms. And then this is a list of meetings. At time 0, both rooms are not being used. The first meeting starts in room 0. Time 1, only room 1 is not being used. The second meeting starts in room 1. At time 2, both rooms are being used. The third meeting is delayed. At time 3, both rooms are being used. The fourth meeting is delayed. At time 5, the meeting in room 1 finishes. The third meeting starts the room 1 for the time period 5 to 10 because the start time was delayed, so it will last for the same meeting duration. So therefore, the end time will be delayed as well. At time 10, the meetings in both rooms finish. The fourth meeting starts in room 0 for the time period 10 to 11 because if both rooms are available, it should start the room with the lowest number. So both room 0 and 1 hold 2 meetings, so we return 0. That is, when we return the number of rooms that hold the most meetings. If there are multiple rooms, returns the rooms with the lowest number. So the idea of resolving this is to use Heap. So for step 1, we need to sort meetings by the start time. And then step 2, we need to allocate meeting rooms for each meeting. There are 2 different scenarios. Case 1, if the rooms are available. In that case, you just occupy the room with the lowest number or index. So you need a min heap to actually store what are the available rooms. So in that case, you can pop from the top of the heap and then use that room. Second case, no rooms available. In that case, the meeting will start and occupy the room with the earliest end time. So in that case, you need another min heap to track the end time. And then you also need to update the start and end time for this meeting for the delayed start. So to recap, basically there are 2 scenarios in allocating meeting rooms if there are rooms available. And then the second case is no rooms available. So in that case, we need 2 min heaps. One is for called available, that stores the room number. And then the top of the heap, the lowest number, will be the next meeting room to occupy. And then occupied, it stores end time and then the corresponding room number. It means, okay, if there's no available rooms, then we will use the meeting room that has the earliest end time. So let's code the solution. So I have 2 heaps available and then occupied. And then from heap import heap queue. And then first sort meeting by start time. That's kind of how we actually allocate the rooms based on the meeting's start time. Based on meeting's start time, you assign the rooms to the meeting. So we can use the default meetings.sort. and then 2 scenarios, so no room available. And then actually for this available, initially, because all the rooms are available, so initially, so let me break this down a little bit. So initially, this available has all the rooms available. So I for I in range n. So initially, all the rooms available. And then initially, no meeting rooms occupied. And then, so 2 scenarios. So if there are rooms available. And then the second scenario is no room available. Well available. So then let's actually assign the meetings. So basically, we assign a room for each meeting. For start and in meetings, 2 scenario. If available, so in that case, available heap q.heap pop available. This is the room number. And then once we occupy this room, then this room becomes used. So in that case, heap q.heap push available actually occupied, and then the start time and the end time, and then also the room number. So if there is no rooms available, so we also need to check, let's say, if else, so if there's not room available, so in that case, the new end time, so basically that's the new start time, and then the room is just heap pop occupied. So basically, if there's no room available, we get the next available room that has the earliest end time, and then that's our new start time. So let me do it earliest end, and then we add the new, we use this room, so heap q.heap push occupied, and then we get the new end time. That is the earliest end, that's our new start time, plus the duration of the meeting. So that's the new end time. That's the delayed end time due to the delayed start time. And then the room. However, for start and end in meetings, before we check, okay, if there is rooms available, we need to actually pop all the available meeting rooms from this occupied. Because here, let's say, in this logic, when we check, okay, if if there are rooms available, and then no rooms available, all we did is just like say, here we push to the occupied. If there's a room available, we occupy a room and push into the occupied. If there is no room available, we first get the earliest available room, and then we also push this to the occupied. So before actually we start to check whether or not there are available rooms, we actually need to update the occupied heap. So that is, well, the top of the heap, well, occupied, and then occupied, the top of the heap, 0, that's the meeting end time. If this end time is less than or equal to our start time, so in that case, we know, okay, these meetings have already ended. So heap q.heap pop occupied. That's the end time, and then the room. And then we add them to the available. Heap q.heap push available, and then room. Basically, this is update occupied and available by compare previous meeting end times in each meeting room with the current meeting start time. So in the end, what we need to return is actually the number of rooms that hold the most meetings. So we kind of figure out, okay, this part is the, okay, meeting room assignment. Basically, we're trying to assign the meeting rooms for each meeting. Okay, how do we track the number of the rooms that hold the most meetings? So in this case, we need actually something to actually keep track of the number of meetings each room held. So in that case, let's initialize something called frequency, that is 0 for in range n. So that's to count the frequency of usage for each meeting room. And then, as we are occupying each room, so basically here we use this room. So in that case, we set meeting room So here, we can actually do it here. Basically, after this, if else. So if available, we use this room available. Else, if there's no room available, we just get the next available rooms, and then this is our room. So in the end, we just need to update meetings, actually frequency. Frequency. So frequency room we increase it by 1. So it means that this room has been used, since the meeting room index are numbered from 0 to n-1. So in that case, we just return so basically frequency dot max so we do this frequency dot index oh, I made a typo here. Okay, so this is our solution. So let me recap the idea. So the idea for solving this one is to use two heaps because we need to actually dynamically tracking the available rooms with the lowest number and then the occupied room with the earliest end time. So that's why we need two min heaps to keep track of them. And then for writing the code, we initialize available occupied, those are the two heaps. And then we also track the number of times each meeting room is used. First, we sort the meetings by start time, and then we start assigning the meeting room. And then we check the start and end time for each meeting. First, before we assign the meeting rooms for the current meeting, we need to first check, okay, we need to update occupied and available to check, okay, how some meeting rooms were assigned to previous meetings. We check if those meeting has ended and then if those meeting rooms becomes available. So that's why we check, okay, for the occupied, if the previous meeting's end time is less than or equal to the current start time, then we know those meeting rooms becomes available right now. So we pop them from the occupied heap and then put them to the available heap. And then we start assigning the rooms. We check if there are rooms available, then we just get the lowest number. If there's no rooms available, then we just get the earliest end time from the occupied heap, and then use that time as the delayed starting time for my current meeting. So that's why my current meeting's end time is also updated. So this is the delayed start time, and then this part is the duration of the meeting. So this part, the whole part is the updated end time for the current meeting. And then we increase the count. And then we return the number of rooms that hold the most meetings. So in that case, we get the maximum from the list. And then we just get the corresponding index for that maximum value. This will return the smallest index.